Okay. Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. So thanks to the LGS Foundation for having us today and for giving the opportunity to speak of fenfluramine. So my name is Amélie Lotte, and I'm the head of Global Medical Community Rare Epilepsies in UCB. So over the next 15 minutes, I will walk you through 4 key areas. The quality of life with individual with developmental and epileptic encephalopathies, DE. And then we will move to fenfluramine and its mode of action, its potential effect on non-seizure outcome, and finally, what we know currently about its effect in individuals with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. So here, before we begin, here are my disclaimers. So I'm a full-time employee of UCB, and this presentation is intended for scientific exchange. As many of you know, in US, fenfluramine, branded Fintepla, is indicated for the treatment of seizures associated with Dravet and Lennox-Gastaut syndromes in patients 2 years of age and older. Fintepla is available only through a restricted program called the Fintepla REMS due to its risk of valvular heart disease and pulmonary arterial hypertension. So echocardiogram assessment are required before, during, and after treatment. So improving quality of life remains a top priority for individuals with DE and their families. These complex conditions are characterized by high seizure burden, for sure, but only by frequent sleep and behavioral issues that can affect the daily life. Our objective was to explore how disruptive symptoms can affect communication and activity of daily living. So we developed an internet-based survey informed by literature, but also by consultation with families and rare epilepsy organizations, including the LGS Foundation. In this interim analysis, we collected responses from 489 caregivers of a child with a DE living in US, and 25.6% of them had the diagnosis of LGS. So the survey focused on 3 key domains: seizures, sleep, and behavior. In the survey, we provided the definition of normal, disruptive, and always disruptive. And disruptive symptoms were defined as symptoms that deviate from the normal daily experience. And in this survey, about 22% of caregivers reported unpredictable, always disruptive seizures, and about 44% of caregivers reported disruptive behavior at least once daily. Then the survey was designed to assess the impact of these 3 domains on the independence in activity of daily living, ADL, including feeding, but also dressing, and also communication. So what did we observe in this survey? Disruptive seizures, sleep, and/or behavior led to a temporary loss in communication, and it was reported by 61% of caregivers. It led to a temporary loss of at least 1 ADL, and it was reported by 58% of caregivers, and a total of 70% of caregivers reported that disruptive seizure, sleep, and/or behavior led to a temporary loss of either communication and/or at least one of the ADLs. In addition to that, almost 8% of caregivers reported that this disruptive symptom led to a temporary loss of all the 4 explore ADLs that was feeding, toileting, bathing, and dressing. So these findings really reinforce the importance of assessing not only the seizures, but also the non-seizures symptoms and the urgent need to address them. So let's move now to fenfluramine. So fenfluramine works differently from other anti-seizure medication. It targets the serotonergic system and the sigma-1 receptors. Fenfluramine is a positive modulator of these sigma-1 receptors. And these receptors are involved, for example, in the synaptic plasticity, and they have emerged as a promising target in neurodevelopmental disorder, but also in neurodegenerative disorder. In addition, fenfluramine promotes the serotonergic neurotransmission, and is doing that by multiple mechanisms. First, the inhibition of the reuptake of fenfluramine. Second, the stimulation of the release of fenfluramine by disrupting the release of serotonin by disrupting the vesicular storage. In addition, fenfluramine has an agonist activity at different serotonin receptors, including 5-HT2A, 2B, 2C, 1D, and 5-HT4. And as you know, serotonin is really a key neurotransmitter and neuromodulator for, I will say, numerous physiological processes, including memory and learning, sleep regulation, but also behavior. So given its mechanism of action, fenfluramine may offer benefit beyond the seizure control and even independently of the seizure control. And this is why a UK research team, a UK research group has explored what is the impact of fenfluramine on adversive processes, behavioral inhibition, and memory in healthy volunteers. And in this study, 56 healthy participants were randomized to receive placebo or fenfluramine during 8 days. Cognitive and emotional task battery were undertaken before starting fenfluramine or the placebo and after the 8 days of fenfluramine or placebo. One participant stopped fenfluramine due to a suspected adverse event, and one other participant stopped placebo due to a low adherence. In this study, the 4 main findings are the following. After 8 days of fenfluramine, they have been able to observe in the healthy volunteer a reduced sensitivity in adversive context, an improvement in behavioral inhibition, and this effect was really more driven by a more cautious decision-making, an improvement in impulsive control, and this was measured by a greater time between the stimulus and the response in a go, no-go task. And finally, an improvement in the memory function for verbal tasks. So what do we know so far about the effect of fenfluramine on the non-seizure parameter in people with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome? So the clinical development of fenfluramine in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, including one phase 3 randomized control trial and one open-label extension of 1 year. The efficacy and the safety of fenfluramine were established during the randomized control trial part of the control trial part. And we have very recently presented the final result of the open label extension 2 weeks ago in Germany at EPNS. So in this open label extension, our final result shows the fact that first, fenfluramine was generally well tolerated, with decreased appetite and fatigue as the most frequent treatment emergent adverse event. Second, fenfluramine was associated with a sustained reduction in efficacy in both adults and children. And in addition, we have been able to show an improvement in global functioning in this patient. Indeed, at the last visit, caregiver and investigator rated more than 50% of the patient with LGS as improved on the CGI scale. Regarding quality of life, of patient and also caregiver well-being, we demonstrated a significant improvement in the mean overall quality of life of patient after 1 year of treatment. And this was measured by the quality of life in childhood epilepsy questionnaire. And interestingly, after 1 year of treatment, we have been also able to demonstrate a significant impact on the anxiety of the caregiver by using the hospital anxiety and depression scale. And in addition, in this trial, what we have done, we use a brief, the behavior weighting inventory of executive function, in order to assess the impact of fenfluramine on the everyday executive function. And age-appropriate briefs were completed by caregiver at the baseline, at the end of the randomized control trial part, and at the end of the open-label extension part. And on this slide, you can see the percentage of patients with a clinically meaningful improvement in brief indexes during the 14 weeks treatment period of the randomized control trial. On the left side, you have the children data, age between 6 and 18 years, and on the right side, you can see the adult data. So post-hoc analysis showed the fact that children treated with fenfluramine showed a greater likelihood of improvement in behavioral regulation in comparison to placebo, and adults treated with fenfluramine show also this greater likelihood of improvement for behavioral regulation, but also for metacognition and global executive composite in comparison to placebo. We are right now analyzing the data, the brief data from our 1 year open label extension, and we will also explore whether this improvement in executive function differ between responder patient and non-responder patient. We hope to present this data at the upcoming conference. And finally, to conclude, first, as I said to you, a total of 70% of caregivers reported that disruptive seizures, but also non-seizure symptoms, affect their communication and or at least one of the aspects of daily living. This really supports the fact that we need a holistic approach if we want to improve outcome in people with DEs. And of course, seizures are really important, and we need to have endpoint on the seizures in our trial. But it is also important to capture the non-seizure parameter and also what matters to the families, like this activity of daily living. Regarding fenfluramine, I have explained to you that fenfluramine has a dual mode of action, targeting serotonin and sigma-1 receptor pathway. And because this mode of action, he has the potential really to improve seizures and non-seizures symptoms. And our preliminary data suggest a benefit in quality of life, but also in executive function. So what we will do in the future, I think the future, we need to really assess the long-term, I will say, the long-term impact of fenfluramine, but also if fenfluramine has an effect on the disease trajectory for seizures and for non-seizure outcome.